This is where the flame of liberty burns bright. This is the Jason Veely Program.
Hello, everybody. Jason Veely here. You're listening to the Jason Veely Program. The email address, jasonveelyradio@gmail.com. JAYSONVELEY radio@gmail.com. I want to take you back a few years. I want to take you back a few years to the Obama era. I know that for most people listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, this is an era that you just kind of, tried to put out of sight and out of mind. Obama's gone. We have Trump now. That's in the past. This is now. That was then. But let me take you back. Let me take you back just a few years and just for a moment to when Barack Obama was president of the United States. Do you guys remember how many times the liberal Democrats attacked conservatives, attacked those on the right, really attacked anyone that was critical of Barack Obama or his policies, and said that they were treating Obama unfairly? You remember that? I can't tell you how many times it happened to me. I mean, going up, through high school and college, I was surrounded by leftists all the time. They all knew that I was a conservative. They all knew that I did a radio program. Before radio, it was television, by the way. But regardless, they knew that I was a conservative commentator critical of Obama. I can't tell you how many times. Oh, you're treating Obama so badly. You're treating him unfairly. Oh, just give him a chance. Remember that one? Over and over again? Just give him a chance. Give him a chance. Yeah, give him a chance to destroy the country. Remember that? Remember that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, truthfully, folks, how Republicans treated Barack Obama is nothing compared to how the Democrats are currently treating President Trump. First of all, I would argue today that I didn't treat Obama badly. No one treated Obama badly. It's just that we are critical of his policies, just as we'd be critical of any other Marxist out there. It's not that, we are attacking him personally necessarily, although I did take a few shots at him when he deserved it, but you get my point. We attacked his policies. What the liberals are doing doesn't even compare to how Republicans treated Obama when he was in office. Doesn't even compare. The Democrats today, whether they're in Washington, D.C., whether they're in the mainstream media and so on and so forth, are constantly displaying incredible levels of vitriol towards the president. I mean, just hate beyond comprehension. They hate this man. And it goes beyond criticizing his policies. It is, in many cases, personal attacks. Not just about Donald Trump, but about his family. I'm speaking to you, Jimmy Kimmel. What the liberals are doing to Donald Trump is, in many respects, unprecedented. It really is. I mean, I know that when Reagan was in office, he was viciously attacked by the Democrats. But this is... Look, I haven't been around for a while, folks. I mean, I'm only 24 years old, but from what I hear and from what I understand from conservatives in older generations, this is unprecedented. This is unprecedented. These attacks on Donald Trump, the hate, the vitriol, it's unlike anything they've ever seen before. And I believe it. I absolutely believe it. Let's take a look back, folks. Donald Trump's been in office for how long now? A little over a year, right? Since he was officially inaugurated. Let's take a look back. And believe me, I'm going to tie this all together. There's a reason why I'm starting off the show talking about this. Look back on the past year or so. the Democrats have essentially been throwing everything against the wall to see what sticks. Throwing every insult, every accusation, every allegation against Donald Trump against the wall to see what sticks. Most of it hasn't, to be honest, and that demonstrates to me just how desperate they are when something doesn't work out and then they immediately go to the next thing. Oh, let's attack Donald Trump on this. And then a few months later, oh, that didn't work, let's attack him on this. A few months later, oh, that didn't work, let's attack him on this. It's embarrassing in many respects. It's just absolutely pathetic. First, he had them talking about impeachment when Donald Trump proposed the travel ban, which was temporary, by the way, and only targeted a few countries that were known for exporting terrorists. They were calling for impeachment, saying that he was violating the Constitution, saying that he was violating the First Amendment. Calling for impeachment almost immediately after he was inaugurated. Hell, what am I saying? They were calling for his impeachment before he was even inaugurated. For the travel ban, which again was only temporary. They were talking about impeachment for Donald Trump because of the so-called Russia collusion scandal. Even though they have come up with nothing. Have you noticed that, by the way? It's like they keep talking on and on and on about it, and there's nothing there. There's just absolutely nothing there. But damn it, they're still sticking to this Russia collusion story, this Russia collusion narrative, and trying to use it as a vehicle to get to impeachment. They've been doing that for over a year now. They talked about impeachment of Donald Trump because he was, the whole mental instability argument that they made. Well, he's mentally unstable. He can't serve as commander-in-chief. He can't serve as president. He's not all there in the head. This was a legitimate argument that the liberals were making. And they said that we might need to impeach him because he's not fit to serve. Remember that whole effort? Remember that whole thing? They talked about impeachment because of the so-called allegations that have been made against Donald Trump, none of which have necessarily been proven. But they're calling for his impeachment because of that. You know, with the whole Stormy Daniels story and so on and so forth, which the liberals are absolutely obsessed about. And so, again, my point, folks, is that you look at the past year with Donald Trump. All it's been is desperate attempt after desperate attempt to try to impeach the President of the United States. That's their ultimate goal. Impeachment. I believe that wholeheartedly. Their goal is impeachment. They want him gone. Sometimes I wonder if they realize that if they do succeed in impeaching Donald Trump, they'll be stuck with Mike Pence, who I argue is even more conservative, but that's we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll see how they respond then, if they ever get their way. But this is how they treat Donald Trump. They're embarrassing themselves in the process, but it is just attack after attack after attack. They hate this man. This is the criticism from the right towards Obama was nothing compared to how the liberals today are treating Donald Trump. It is unprecedented. It's unprecedented. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, and see, now I'm starting to connect the dots, the FBI raided the office and the home and the hotel room of Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. Breitbart News did a fantastic piece on this. Cohen's lawyer. Now, listen. Here's just some details that I believe are important to know regarding this whole raid, which I frankly think is ridiculous. Cohen's lawyer, a guy by the name of Stephen Ryan, released a statement that said the raids were, quote, in part, a referral by the Office of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Huh. So Robert Mueller has to do with this, of course. You probably already knew that. We'll get back to that a-hole in a minute. Gotta watch myself here. He also went on, he said, the decision by the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York to conduct their investigation using search warrants is completely inappropriate and unnecessary. Again, this is Cohen's lawyer. So Trump's lawyer's lawyer. He also said, quote, it resulted in the unnecessary seizure of protected attorney-client communications between a lawyer and his clients. These government tactics are also wrong because Mr. Cohen has cooperated completely with all government entities, including providing thousands of non-privileged documents to the Congress and sitting for depositions under oath. Now, a spokesman for the special counsel referred Fox News to U.S. Code of Federal Regulations, Title 28, Section 600.4, in regards to Mueller's referral. Here's what the code says. If in the course, now this is what they're basing the FBI raid off of. This is kind of their justification for it. Again, U.S. Code of Federal Regulations, Title 28, Section 600.4. If in the course of his or her investigation, the special counsel concludes that additional jurisdiction beyond that specified in his or her original jurisdiction is necessary in order to fully investigate and resolve the matters assigned, or to investigate new matters that come to light in the court of his or her investigation, he or she shall consult with the Attorney General, that would be Jeff Sessions, who will determine whether to include the additional matters within the special counsel's jurisdiction or assign them elsewhere. So again, that's what they're basing this raid off of. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there have been reports that have explained that the FBI raids had to do with scrutiny over Stormy Daniels' payments that she received just before the election. So this has a lot to do with Stormy Daniels. Swear to God, if I hear that name one more time, by the way, Stormy Daniels. I mean, the liberals are obsessed with it. I can't stand talking about it because, frankly, I don't like getting caught up in everybody's sex lives. So who the hell cares? I suspect many of you listening or watching don't really care either. But we have to talk about it. The FBI raid. This is actually a headline from Fox News. I'm reading word for word. FBI raid targets Trump attorney Michael Cohen under scrutiny over Stormy Daniels' payments. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what is Mueller investigating? What is Mueller investigating, folks? Isn't he investigating Trump-Russia collusion? What in God's name does Stormy Daniels have to do with any of this? What does Stormy Daniels have to do with anything? It is completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. And I understand that there might have been other reasons for the FBI raid. Cohen might be in some legal trouble regarding how he paid Stormy Daniels or something of that, something to that extent. And we'll, as more information comes out, we'll address it and respond accordingly. But as of right now, folks, this seems like a witch hunt. And I've been saying that all along, and this just kind of solidifies my argument. This is a witch hunt. It has nothing to do with Russia collusion. But wasn't that the whole purpose of the investigation in the first place? To determine if Donald Trump colluded with Russia to win the election? Anyway, I do have a few more comments, but first, I want to play audio of Donald Trump's response to the FBI raid. Here's what he had to say when he learned about it. Take a listen.
So I just heard that they broke into the office of one of my personal attorneys, good man, and it's a disgraceful situation. It's a total witch hunt. I've been saying it for a long time. I've wanted to keep it down. We've given, I believe, over 1 million pages worth of documents to the special counsel. They continue to just go forward, and here we are talking about Syria. We're talking about a lot of serious things with the greatest fighting force ever. And I have this witch hunt constantly going on for over 12 months now. And actually much more than that. You could say it was right after I won the nomination it started. And it's a disgrace. It's frankly a real disgrace. It's an attack on our country in a true sense. It's an attack on what we all stand for. So when I saw this and when I heard it like you did. I said, that is really now in a whole new level of unfairness. So this has been going on. I saw one of the reporters who is not necessarily a fan of mine, not necessarily very good to me. He said, in effect, that this is ridiculous. This is now getting ridiculous. They found no collusion whatsoever with Russia. The reason they found it is there was no collusion at all. No collusion. This is the most biased group of people. These people have the biggest conflicts of interest I've ever seen. Democrats.
All right, let me stop him right there. They do have incredibly big conflicts of interest here. And I think that, quite frankly, President Trump should take that into account when determining whether or not he wants to fire Mueller. And I'll give you my thoughts on that after the commercial break. But absolutely, and we've reported on this for months. I mean, Mueller, the guy is anything but credible. Anything but bipartisan. Keep listening.
All, or just about all, either Democrats or a couple of Republicans that worked for President Obama. They're not looking at the other side. They're not looking at the Hillary Clinton horrible things that she did and all of the crimes that were committed. They're not looking at all of the things that happened that everybody is very angry about, I can tell you, from the Republican side, and I think even the independent side. They only keep looking at us. So they find no collusion, and then they go from there and they say, well, let's keep going. And they raid an office of a personal attorney early in the morning. And I think it's a disgrace. So we'll be talking about it more. But this is the most conflicted group of people I've ever seen. The Attorney General made a terrible mistake when he did this and when he recused himself, or he should have certainly let us know if he was going to recuse himself, and we would have put a different Attorney General in. So he made what I consider to be a very terrible mistake for the country. But you'll figure that out. All I can say is, after looking for a long period of time, not even before the special counsel, because it really started just about from the time I won the nomination. And you look at what took place and what happened, and it's a disgrace.
It really is. It really is. And I argue that this level of vitriol and this extensive of a witch hunt is unprecedented. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on. Absolutely unbelievable. This whole Russia collusion narrative, it may have started off where the Democrats really were focusing on trying to find evidence of Donald Trump colluding with Russia. They found nothing. Nothing. And so instead of burying the whole narrative altogether, they decided to ride it out. They decided to continue looking for anything they could find. And to continue this witch hunt, they got Robert Mueller to basically work for them. That's right. Robert Mueller is basically working for the liberals. He's a henchman for the left at this point. I'm convinced of it. I'm absolutely convinced. And so they're riding out this whole Russia collusion investigation, and their goal is not even to find evidence of collusion anymore. Their goal is to find things that they can use to attack Donald Trump with on the way. That is their goal now. You saw this with the FBI raid, focusing to a large extent on the documents related to Stormy Daniels, even though Stormy Daniels really has nothing to do with Russia. Nothing at all. Anyway, I don't know. I'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere.
The Jason Bealey program is on the air. Get used to it. If he had his way, every day would be the 4th of July. This is the Jason Bealey program.
You know, folks, at this point, anyone who thinks that Mueller has a shred of integrity left, a shred of credibility left, is an idiot. Is either an idiot or is living under a rock or both. I mean, honestly. We've talked about it on this program before, folks. I mean, all my shows are archived. You can look them all up. Spreaker.com. Spreaker.com. Look them up. I've talked about this before, extensively. Mueller's team, who he's associated with, who he recruited, and so on and so forth. Mostly left-wing Democrats, left-wing hacks. That's one of the reasons why I say this is a witch hunt. Here's another reason. Article from thedailywire.com. Breaking news. Mueller investigating $150,000 donation to Trump from a man who gave Clintons millions. And so you see the bias on full display right here. This article, folks, this headline should be enough to make people see the light. Regardless of whether you're on the left or the right, this article should expose Mueller for the hack that he is. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. It's a piece written by, good God, the font's small. My eyes are so bad. Ryan Saavedra. I believe that's how you say it. He writes, Special Counsel Robert Mueller is investigating a $150,000 donation to President Donald Trump's charity in 2015 from a Ukrainian businessman who has given tens of millions of dollars to Bill and Hillary Clinton, according to a new report. So you got that, folks. Donald Trump received a $150,000 donation from a Ukrainian businessman, and they gotta investigate. We gotta get to the bottom of this thing. What's going on here? See that? That's Russia collusion. Hey, but did you know that Bill and Hillary Clinton received tens of millions of dollars from this same person? Oh, well, you know, that's okay. Nothing to see here. Sweep it under the rug. Who the hell cares? Move along, says Robert Mueller. A little bit more. The donation from Ukrainian billionaire Viktor Pinchuk came after then-candidate Donald Trump gave a 20-minute speech at a European conference that promoted closer ties between Ukraine and the West, according to Business Insider. The speech was set up in August 2015 when Doug Scone, a political consultant for Pinchuk, contacted Trump directly and asked if he would give the speech. Trump reportedly accepted, but did not bring up the subject of being paid to make the appearance. So Donald Trump didn't even ask to be paid, and yet he's still being investigated. We gotta get to the bottom of this one. The New York Times reported in 2016 that Pinchuk, quote, has directed between $10 million and $25 million to the Clinton Foundation, and that he also, quote, lent his private plane to the Clintons and traveled to Los Angeles in 2011 to attend Mr. Clinton's star-studded 65th birthday celebration. Boy, why wasn't I invited to that? That would have... No, I'm just joking. That would have been... Can you imagine what Bill Clinton's 65th birthday would have been like? Honest to God. I mean, just a bunch of snobs. That's the kind of party that you stay away from. Anyway, so here we are. My question to you, Rob Mueller, is why are you interested in a $150,000 donation to Donald Trump from this Ukrainian businessman, but you're not interested in the fact that this same businessman gave millions of dollars. Again, it was, I think, what was it, between $10 and $25 million to the Clinton Foundation. Close ties to the Clinton. You interested in that at all? No, of course not. You want to know why? Because you're a partisan hack. That's why. You're a partisan hack. And that's why I think, ladies and gentlemen, among other reasons, Donald Trump should get rid of this guy. Donald Trump should get rid of this guy. Now, I know some people will argue that this will just open him up to be impeached. And it might. It might add fuel to the fire. But here's my thinking. First of all, we need to restore integrity in the Justice Department. We need to restore integrity within the FBI. That has to happen. Right now, it's too corrupt. This whole investigation is biased and partisan, and it's a witch hunt. So, Donald Trump, I think, should take the angle and say, well, look, I'm trying to restore integrity. It's not about saving my ass. It's about restoring integrity in law enforcement, in the FBI, in the Justice Department. And as far as the impeachment argument goes, folks, Democrats will have, more of a reason to impeach Donald Trump if he fires Mueller. Here's what I have to say to that. Aren't they already trying to impeach the guy? Haven't they already been talking about impeaching Trump for over a year now? The way I see it, he has nothing to lose. He has nothing to lose and everything to gain, folks. Yes, I think Rob Mueller needs to go. I really do think it's time. Don't go anywhere. Back in a minute. Did the FBI ever treat Hillary Clinton this way? Did they? No, of course not. They kind of let her slide, didn't they? Let her off the hook. Who cares, those Clintons? Gotta love them. Not Hillary Clinton. What about the Uranium One scandal? Where she sold 20% of America's uranium production to the Russians. I mean, for God's sakes, you want Russia collusion? There you go, Rob Mueller. You interested in that? No. What about the private server that she had? The private email server? What about that? Look, I know that, I'm bringing up old news here. Oh, Jason, why are you bringing this stuff up? It's in the past. Just leave it in the past. I'm bringing up this because of the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. Hillary Clinton never treated like this. Dare I say, past presidents never treated the way Donald Trump is being treated in this investigation led by Rob Mueller. Honestly. So yes, if I were Donald Trump, I would strongly consider getting rid of him. The liberals will go nuts. They'll be calling for impeachment. The mainstream media will be talking about it for days. I think it's worth it. If it means restoring credibility and integrity in the FBI, in law enforcement, in the Department of Justice, then do it. Then do it. Anyway, Chuck Schumer, folks, he's out there now attacking Donald Trump. Specifically attacking Trump for Trump's response to the FBI raid. Here's what Chuck Schumer had to say. Take a listen.
I go through these details because it's important to understand that yesterday's events could only have been the result of a rigorous legal process with checks every step of the way and with a very high burden of proof. And yet,
all right, let me stop him right there. He's saying that basically what he's saying is that this FBI raid could have only been approved. The warrant could have only been granted based on very high standards. I believe that's what he said. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's what he's saying. You know, kind of like the FISA court and their high standards. You know, how they allowed for the spying of members of Donald Trump's team based on a phony dossier. You know, kind of like, you know how those judges are, folks. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that just because there might be high standards to get a warrant to conduct such a raid doesn't mean dog crap. It really doesn't. Unfortunately, in this day and age. Keep listening. You know what? I'm going to start over. Here's Chuck Schumer.
I go through these details because it's important to understand that yesterday's events could only have been the result of a rigorous legal process with checks every step of the way.
You really are an idiot.
With a very high burden of proof. And yet, last night, President Trump said the FBI raid was a disgrace, part of a witch hunt, an attack on our country, and mentioned that many people have encouraged him to fire Mr. Mueller. We'll see what happens, he concluded. Let's break this down. The president suggests that the latest events are part of a partisan conspiracy against him. I'd remind the president that the source of the referral, Special Counsel Mueller, is a lifelong Republican.
All right, let me stop right there. What the hell? First of all, I don't even know if he's a Republican. I don't know if he's a Democrat. I don't know if he's a Marxist or a socialist or a conservative. Frankly, I don't care. Rob Mueller is an idiot. Rob Mueller is a partisan hack. That's what he is. He's an anti-Trump partisan hack that surrounded himself with liberal Democrats. That's who he is. So this really is a weak and pathetic argument coming from Chuck Schumer. I just want you to know that. That because Rob Mueller, well, you know, he's a Republican, so this isn't a witch hunt. Boy, that is a foolproof argument. That is just bulletproof, Chuck Schumer. Fantastic argument. Keep listening.
The Attorney General who signed off on the referral, Rod Rosenstein,
sadly,
is a Republican.
Oh, he's a Republican.
By President Trump. The Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, a Republican, appointed by President Trump. And the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District in New York, which sought a search warrant based on that information, is a Republican, appointed by President Trump. The agents in New York who carried out the seizure are under the direction of Christopher Wray, a Republican, appointed by President Trump.
Well, that's a fantastic argument you got there, Chuck Schumer. He wasn't done. He took to Twitter and continued to say stupid things, to be honest. This is from earlier today, around noontime. Chuck Schumer tweeted, attorney-client... Well, it's actually a series of tweets. We'll get through them. Trust me. He said, attorney-client privilege is alive and well, as is the exception of attorney-client privilege when communications... By the way, he spelled communications wrong. In case you were ever questioning whether or not Chuck Schumer has an IQ of 8, I can now confirm it. He spelled communications COMMUTATIONS. Between an attorney and client are used to further a crime or fraud, which may be the case here. It's called the crime-fraud exception. It's very well known. Well, we'll have to see what's going on. I have a feeling that this is just another step in this ongoing witch hunt. Again, if I'm not discounting the possibility that Michael Cohen could have done something illegal here. If he did, then he's wrong and he deserves what he gets. But again, I think that this FBI raid is heavily politicized. Why do I think that? Because this entire damn investigation has been heavily politicized. Chuck Schumer went on Twitter. Special Counsel Mueller has uncovered a pattern of Russian interference in our elections that has led to several indictments and guilty pleas. See, they just keep going on and on with this. It has also led your administration, meaning Trump's administration, to level sanctions against Russian individuals for meddling in our elections. Is there a single person out there who denies the idea that Russia meddled in our election? I don't deny it. I know they did. That doesn't mean that Donald Trump was colluding with them. And then finally, Chuck Schumer said, "It has become crystal clear to me that the only person engaging in an attack on American values, particularly the rule of law, is unfortunately Donald Trump." So there you go, folks. Some words of wisdom, some real, effective arguments coming from one of the dumbest people in the Senate, Chuck Schumer. There you go. It's unbelievable, isn't it, folks? It really is. These leftists, these hacks that exist and that are participating in this investigation, it's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. Anyway, all right. Another quick break. Do not go anywhere. I'll be right back. Stick with me. So it's come to my attention that David Hogg, the fearless anti-gun zealot on the left, can I say that, by the way, or am I going to get banned by YouTube? It's come to my attention that he's been accepted to UC Irvine in California, which is lucky for me. It's on the exact opposite side of the country, about as far away from me as he can get, which is a plus. And it's also come to my attention that he's going to be taking a year off of college to focus on the midterm elections. Which, I don't know what you want to... I don't know, I'm just filling you in on David Hogg. The kid loves to be in the spotlight, and so I'm just helping him along here in any event. So that'll be interesting. I'm sure he'll be out there at rallies across the country and... making his preposterous anti-gun arguments, spewing his rhetoric, his propaganda, cozying up to radical leftists who help him put on these events, and so on and so forth. And anyway, so that's that. All right, let me get on to this, folks, to wrap up the show. This is something that I've actually really wanted to talk about today since I saw it posted early this morning. It's an article up on the Washington Free Beacon talking about how knife control is apparently a real legitimate debate that the people of London are having amid a spike in the murder rate. Knife control. So we already know that London has incredibly strict gun laws. I talked about it very briefly, I think it was last week, on the extremely rigorous process that individuals in London have to go through if they want to own a firearm. In fact, it's so difficult to own a firearm, to get a permit in London, that it really is almost impossible. It really is. And so anyway, so they have strict gun control laws. They're still seeing murders and the murder rate go up. And so now their proposal is, well, we need knife control. We need knife control. Let's get more government in here. The debate over knife control has taken on a new sense of urgency in the UK after news of London's murder rate spiking to record levels broke last week. It did spike to record levels. As a matter of fact, it surpassed the murder rate of New York City for the first time ever. Now, how can this happen, ladies and gentlemen? Leftists out there, how the hell can this happen if guns are essentially outlawed? How can this happen? How do you explain it? I guess you just move to knife control, right? The mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, announced new knife control initiatives in the city. He said London would increase police patrols, grant extra stop and search powers to police on certain patrols, and increase efforts to take people out of gangs by giving them job training. He reiterated the city's position that there is no need for anyone to carry a knife. You see, in our country, the liberals are saying that there's no need for anyone to carry a gun or an AR-15. There, over in London, they're saying that there's no need for anyone to carry a knife. You see the similarities? I don't think it's a stretch to look to London and say that this is our future if we keep going down this path. So knife control. Let me just make a quick point before we have to wrap up here. I wish I had more time to go into this, but I don't. This is a prime example of something that I've talked about before on this program. This is a prime example of progressive utopianism. Progressive utopianism. What that essentially means, that the idea behind utopianism, left-wing utopianism, is that there will eventually come a day where society will be perfect, flawless, which of course is not possible. It's just not practical. That is something that can't be achieved, no matter how great a society may be. And so what they're doing now is they're saying, well, surrender a little bit more of your liberty. No one has to have a knife. First of all, no one has to have a gun, but knives, we got to outlaw those too. And what happens, ladies and gentlemen, is people end up surrendering their liberty in exchange for empty promises. That is essentially what progressive utopianism is. They surrender their liberty for empty promises. Empty promises of less crime, empty promises of a better, more peaceful society, and so on and so forth. And this same mentality plagues our own country. Progressive utopianism. And it just goes to show that it's not unique to America. This big government mindset. This idea that big government has all the solutions and that big government is going to lead us all to the promised land. It's not exclusive to the United States. This is a movement, really a plague, I'll call it, that is spreading across the entire globe, folks. That's what's going on. All right, my friends, I'll be back tomorrow. God bless, and God save this great nation. Have a good one.